Ahmed Kathrada left an indelible first impression on a young Bantu Holomisa the first time they met in Umtata shortly after his release from Robben Island in the late 80s. So memorable was that moment and subsequent meetings between the two men that Holomisa now recalls each meeting as if it were yesterday.
The first time I met Honorable Kathrada was in 1989 when we welcomed him together with other colleagues of his who were just released by F.W. de Klerk. When we welcomed them in Umtata in 1989. We further met again during the time of Codesa, and in 1994 he was amongst the members of parliament in Cape Town, and we worked closely with them in the caucus,
Kathrada's first impression was as powerful an ACDP leader, Kenneth Mishwe, in Parliament in 1994.
We're engaging with Babu Kathrada as a father in the nation. Even though he was not the head of state, he had that image that commanded respect of everybody who interacted with him.
Both Holomisa and Mishwe recall quite fondly Kathrada's easygoing and affable nature, qualities they believe made him the perfect candidate to serve former President Nelson Mandela as his parliamentary counsel.
He was a disciplined individual, an organized person, a good listener, and a soft-spoken individual who would put his position without fighting, without being emotional. That's why I guess that he got the ear of Madiba all the time.
He was not a difficult man. He was an easy man, simple man, approachable man. And so I think Mr. Mandela made the right decision in choosing him to be his counselor, because he stood between the president's office and the members of parliament, and we found him to be very pleasant to deal with.
Once in the position, Kathrada excelled, living out Mandela's values of a presidency and parliament accessible to all South Africans.
Many times when we wanted to talk to the president, he would never give excuses. He was kind, he was polite, and he always makes space for us to approach him as members of parliament.
Most of the time when I was in Mandela's cabinet, I would meet him in Madiba's office. And a quiet gentleman, but you could see that he was a thinker.
I never saw him angry, I never saw him shouting. I saw him debating, yes, sure. Feeling strong about his case as I'm strong about my case, but you could respect each other. And I think that is what I really need. If you talk about democracy, not fighting problems out, but talking it out, he was a symbol of that.
For these MPs, there's no doubt that Kathrada's name belongs among the giants of South Africa's liberation struggle. But they also stress that his subsequent work in a democratic South Africa puts his name and legacy equal to that of his old friend and confidant, Nelson Mandela.
When Parliament remembers the successes of the first Parliament, he was one man that must come next to Tata Madiba. I am not sure whether in Parliament Tata Madiba could have done what he did, and whether he could have had such a wonderful, almost perfect relationship with all the members of Parliament if Tata Kathrada was not next to him. So I believe, as we honor Tata Madiba, we have to do the same thing to Tata Kathrada.
Ahmed Kathrada, SABC News, Parliament.